Named weapons have been part of the division since launch, but Update 1.6 is coming and has plans to freshen up these forgotten weapons and bring them back from the dead. What's going on, agents? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and in today's The Division video, I wanted to jump right into the proposed changes to the named weapons and take a look at how they will be modified for Update 1.6. Massive knows that the player base as a whole tends not to use these named weapons, as they can easily be bested by many standard pieces. So, the devs have repurposed these named weapons into exotic weapons, with all of them coming with their own unique weapon talent that cannot be rolled or recalibrated. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive right in and take a look at how these exotic weapons will be changed. First up is the FAMAS, which has been converted from a high-end weapon to exotic for this new update. With its potential 15% weapon damage buff talent of Uncomplicated, many players use this in deadly combination with an M4 Alpha Bridge build in 1.5, and it became the mainstay of the Dark Zone. For Update 1.6, the Uncomplicated talent remains unchanged, but the FAMAS will be moved to the exotic weapon classification, therefore excluding players from pairing the Uncomplicated talent with an AR Alpha Bridge build. The Medved came on the scene way back in Update 1.2 with the Clear Sky Incursion. Based on the Saiga 12 gauge, the Medved will be receiving a new talent called Center Mass. This will recalibrate the Medved to fire heavy slug rounds instead of buckshot, and I for one am looking forward to seeing just how potent this weapon will be. There is no word as to if it will be able to fire quickly in semi-auto mode or will need to reload after every shot, but the killing potential of having slug rounds is enticing. The Hungry Hog was everyone's favorite LMG, if not the best weapon in the game back in Update 1.4, but was crushed when the meta was changed for Update 1.5. Update 1.6 will bring the Hog in with a new talent, Glutton, that increases your damage dealt by 20% for killing a target and does not debuff until you stop firing. On paper, this looks amazing for PvE work, especially when being rushed by hordes of NPCs. This change was badly needed, as the Hog in its current state can be outdamaged by nearly every other LMG, and I can see agents dusting off their Hogs, equipping a high percentage magazine mod, and channeling their inner Rambo. Next up is the Tenebris, which will now come with the Lights Out talent, that after destroying an enemy weak point resets skill cooldowns for you and your nearby group members. Based on the high fire rate, low base damage Scar H chassis, the Tenebris was formerly built around headshot damage multipliers and was really a contradiction of talents versus weapon. The new talent of Lights Out will reward the competent marksman with skill cooldown resets for targeting specific enemy weak points. On a quick side note, I used the phrase Lights Out in my Tenebris weapon review video way back in June of 2016. So, massive? I would like one of those glowing agent watches in lieu of royalty rights, alright? Contact my email for shipping address. The Pecan has been available for purchase at the base of operations for longer than I can remember, and in Update 1.5 was the clear winner among LMGs for sustained damage. The unique talent of this weapon is named for the weapon itself, Pecan, and each kill makes the next reload have 20% extra bullets compared to its base. There is no word on how many times this talent will stack or if it goes through a debuff, but if you started with 60 rounds in your base mag, after 5 reloads your magazine would have reached 148 rounds and so on and so forth. I personally would have preferred to stay with the base mag size and perhaps added something like that the weapon's reticule tightens and stabilizes the longer you fire, as my main complaint with the Pecan is its initial shot recoil and stability. The Liberator and Centurion are the first of 2 exotic weapon pairings, and you will need to equip both of these weapons together to unlock the unique talent of Free Republic. With this synergizing talent, each shot with the Liberator grants 5% to your next headshot damage with the Centurion, max is 200%. Kills with the Centurion grant 10% RPM to all weapons for 10 seconds. Now, I guess this could lead to some interesting results, especially if you were to spec your gloves into pistol damage and equip a holster with the decisive talent and see just how much damage you could inflict with a single sidearm headshot. Otherwise, it seems like a lot of needless weapon swaps. The Cassadee is one of the most commonly forgotten weapons in the division, and after looking at this list, I was surprised to see it listed at all. Double-barrel shotguns are never used as primary weapons, and even after these unique weapon talent changes, I will still not see anybody using the Cassadee. Anyways, the new unique talent is entitled Boomstick, and a double trigger fires off both barrels in short succession. The Damascus blueprint is earned once you complete the final story mission and is based on the M9 chassis. However, in terms of sidearms, it is weak and quickly discarded for heavier hitting alternatives. The quick draw talent increases your weapon damage once drawn by 20% for 2 seconds. After that, weapon damage is decreased by 20%. So it essentially gets a 20% damage buff for 2 seconds and then returns to normal, at which time I guess you'll need to again holster the weapon, switch to another weapon, switch back to the Damascus, and again get the 20% damage buff for 2 seconds? Seems like a lot of work for a little bit of a damage buff. The Golden Rhino, sorry I don't have one to showcase, was introduced in Update 1.5 to the player base, and in terms of stopping power, it is tied with the Magnum for highest base damage figures amongst sidearms. Its unique weapon talent remains unchanged, as the Golden Rhino talent increases stagger by 200%. Now it looks good on paper, and I'm sure it comes in handy from time to time, but I only switch to my sidearm to quickly finish off a seriously wounded target, and I'm not looking to stagger the advance of a rushing enemy. Like the Golden Rhino, the Urban MDR and its unique talent of Distracted remains unchanged from Update 1.5. Once the Distracted talent is activated, your damage is increased by 10% against targets with status effects. For 1.6, I can see the MDR being pushed towards PvE content, as the Resist All main gear bonus can effectively let agents be 100% immune to status effects if they spec into this resistance. However, using a Firecrest flame turret with this weapon on daily missions or incursions is still highly effective and not to mention tons of fun. Next up is the Historian, and at least on paper, this M1A has the best burst damage figures of any DMR in 1.5. The new History Repeats talent allows bullets to lodge in the target and then detonate 2 seconds later for 20% skill power. Now, I don't know if this will stack or have a cap, but being an M1A, you should be able to get a decent amount of rounds into a target and then reap the rewards of the skill power boosts. We shall have to wait and see just how this talent works once Update 1.6 goes live. The final synergizing set is the Valkyrie, or what used to be the Valkyrie, as it has now been split into the Hildur and Eir. For those of you who don't know, Hildur and Eir were names of Valkyries in Old Norse mythology, and these two weapons together give you the talent Valkyrie. Players in the PC PTS are currently carrying on about how OP this gear set combo is, but the Valkyrie talent makes each hit with the Hildur increase your critical hit damage by 1% to a maximum of 100, and the bonus decreases by 1 every second. Hildur cannot crit. So, this exotic set of SMG9s works essentially like Striker's battle gear, and that as long as you are doing damage, the critical hit damage percentages keep going up and up. Unfortunately, the last two exotic weapons, the Warlord and Caduceus, I do not have in my inventory, as clearly the RNG calculator and I need to have a little talk. The Warlord, built on the AK-47, receives a new talent entitled Play Rough, and damage taken is reduced by 20% while firing, and damage taken is applied when you stop firing. I will need to eventually get one of these weapons and test it out, but it seems strange how all the damage you have taken will suddenly be applied to you once you stop firing. I mean, how will players know when to pop a med kit or first aid? Caduceus gets a weapon talent named after the weapon, and each critical hit heals you and your group for 1%. Now on paper this looks like it could be interesting, but at only 1% and directly depending on if you hit your target with a critical hit, it seems to be a bit underwhelming. I did not forget to cover the Showstopper, Midas, Tommy Gun, and Thompson, as these weapons, as of today, are not slated to receive any changes in the upcoming update. If anything does change in the future concerning these exotic weapons, expect a quick follow-up video detailing said changes. And as always, I would appreciate any feedback you would like to offer concerning the exotic weapon changes, or my thoughts as to these changes. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. In addition, if you could take the time to rate the video with either a thumbs up or down, it would be greatly appreciated. If you want some more LtBuzzLitebeer and my Division content in your life, pound that sub button and follow me on Twitter at LtBuzzLitebeer. If you have questions about any weapon in the Division, look no further than my comprehensive weapon review playlist to answer any and all of your questions. And remember, for my channel, likes, comments, subs are loved. This has been LtBuzzLitebeer saying peace out.